Welcome to the Vault Studios NFL podcast, an Australian twist on all things NFL. The boys are cracking into a nice cold beer from Burnley Brewing. Let's join them.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, JA, and I am joined just by the one legend. What did I call you last week? Mr. Consistent or Mr. Irrelevant? I think it was one of the two. Richard Garraway, number one Buccaneers fan in Australia. How are you, mate?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, can't complain. I got some fancy lights behind me, behind my cabinet. Like, life's good, you know.
Better than my plain white background here.
Yeah, look, my thing is if you've got LEDs behind you, something's going right in your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you've arrived.
Yeah, like if you can stick some LEDs to your wall and plug it into a PowerPoint and make it look cool, things are good. Things are real good. So never anything to complain about. It looks like we're getting out of lockdown in the next couple of days. I just got about 6 messages from people from the football club saying we're back. So I don't know what's just been announced, but Melbourne looks like it's going to get out of some sort of lockdown to back to some normality, which I don't know about you, Richie. You got a young kid as well. It's tough lockdown. It's tough being in with the family full time. I'm sure it's as tough on them as it is on me, but it's tough all around. So especially when your wife's a personal trainer and can't work and can't go to gym and can't do anything. So it's been a rough couple of weeks, but it looks like we're starting to get out of it. So well done, Victoria, for riding it out and, you know, not letting it be extended anymore. Yeah,
without making it political, like, why is it always us? It's always fucking Victoria. Like, what the hell are we doing wrong down here? It's really pissing me off. Like, you compare it to Queensland or WA, who wouldn't know what a lockdown is. Like, we'll be in masks for weeks and weeks and weeks probably, but I don't know. I'll be happy to go more than 5Ks from my house.
Yes, that's true. That'll be good. But
maybe go to the movies.
Movies? I've not been to the movies. Just we're right off topic earlier. I've not been to the movies, I don't reckon, for 6 or 7 years. I cannot tell you the last time I went to the cinemas.
As you know, my wife and I like to go to the movies. So I think we did go in between the last couple of lockdowns, but yeah. It's bloody hard because, one, there's not many good movies coming out. And two, we're in and out of lockdown like a fucking yo-yo in this state. So what can you do?
The last time I went to the movies was when I went with you and your wife to see Star Wars because no one would go and see Star Wars.
That's
and
right.
Like, we'll go again with you to see it. And you took me to the cinemas as a complete
your wife refused, so we said, we'll go again.
You went again with me. That was the last time I went to the cinemas. When did the first Star Wars and the first new Star Wars come out?
That's a good question. It was a while ago, that's for sure.
There you go. That was the last time I went to the cinemas. That's enough of cinema talk. Want to thank our fantastic friends at Burnley Brewing. I know they're going to be extremely happy that the lockdown's winding up and hopefully some people get in their restaurants. Absolutely love your work there at Burnley Brewing, guys. Really appreciate you. And couldn't be happy we're getting our lockdown for you guys, if nothing else. Also, our Patreons, Tyreek Hill helmet got given away yesterday. Went to our good man, Regan Skulls, all the way up in Queensland. Makes me happy. The last couple of months, you know, it's gone to John Elliott, owner of We Are 4, who does all our graphics and all that sort of stuff. And then this month to Regan, who Regan has been one of our longest fans. Him and Jer are kind of the oldest guys in the book. So I'm really glad that he's got it. And he also won the box of beer a couple of months ago as well. So I'm sending him up a box of beer and a Tyreek Hill Kansas City Chiefs helmet. So he should be wrapped with that. And thanks for your support. All our patrons, thanks for your support. And next month, I've got a ripper for next month, Richie. I've got Dallas Cowboys, Troy Aikman, Dallas Cowboys mini helmet, all certified, everything like that. Absolute ripper. And to go with it, I had a little Troy Aikman figurine. I was like, you know what?
Oh,
I'll throw in
the bobblehead.
There's nothing better than you've got a little bobblehead or something to go with it. So that's this month. Obviously, the second prize is Burnley Brewing, box of Burnley Brewings, and a stubby holder from them. So yeah, that'll be awesome. Whoever gets that. Funny, a couple of times. Obviously, I don't do first and second prize, but I tend to think that people would pick the helmets first. 2 times, someone's picked the beer first now.
Ooh.
2 times, which is pretty cool.
There you go.
How good Burnley Brewing is. The bottom line is Burnley Brewing's probably more expensive than a helmet sometimes because it's top quality beer, Rich. We know that. Craft beer or independent beer, you don't pay Carlton draft price for that sort of top quality stuff.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I have nothing to add. You didn't ask me a question.
I was waiting for it. You're right. I was just like hoping you'd respond. But
You've done something that that ex AFL players do all the time, and they do it on TV. They come out, they make it. So they're interviewing a player, and they come out and they make a statement, and then they shove the microphone under the player's mouth. It's like, what do you expect them to fucking say? You made a statement about the game. You didn't ask them a question. I hate it. It absolutely drives me nuts. All ex-players do it because they're not fucking journalists. They don't know anything about it. They don't know what they're doing. And they just stand there. They'll make a statement and then almost go, do you agree with me? Can you make me right? It's like, ask them a question, you idiot. It's a game of football. It's not hard.
I was talking about
you were terrible today. Why do you think this happened?
And I thought you'd have some interest in beer because you do love beer. So
I do love beer.
You do love beer, and you love Burnley Brewing. That's the main point here. We're all trying to make.
I got my coffee browns.
Oh, I won the other night. It was a cold night. Got it out and just spilled it everywhere, trying to pour it, but it didn't matter. I knew it was all going to be the juice was going to be worth the squeeze in the end. That's what I knew.
Always is those coffee browns. Jeez, they're good.
They're fantastic. Let's get on to a bit of football talk. We're going to start with Juwan James suing the Denver Broncos. I think this is just a really interesting story. Guy played for the Dolphins, drafted in the first round, had a few good years for the Dolphins. Did a good job, got a big contract for Denver, got injured his first season there, and then last season, I believe he opted out. And then this season going in, he hurts himself in the off-season doing football workout. He's going to miss the entire season. Denver cut him and basically say, because you injured yourself off-site, you're not going to get some bonuses. So he's suing them for $15 million, which is basically half of this year's contract. All of this year's contract and half of next year's, I believe. So that's just paraphrasing. It's around that mark. I guess my thoughts with this are they have like certain limits. So they put like weight limits on them that they've got to come back under a certain weight and in a certain position physically. And to do that, you've got to work out. And they fine them if they don't come back. So they'll take money off them if they don't come back in good physical form. And they also give them bonuses if they come back in better than physical form. So if a guy gets hurt trying to keep that physical form and stop losing money so he doesn't come back overweight and unprepared and unhealthy, why is that not covered in his contract? That seems very unfair to me. Really unfair, especially in COVID. It seems like Denver are doing the wrong thing here. And I'm kind of on Juwan James' side.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree without knowing all the history. Obviously, especially last year with the height of COVID, they couldn't train at the facility. They had to do it from home. And I really feel like this is just an extension of that. I mean, I think he tore his Achilles off. I'm sure I read that's what the injury was.
Yeah, it was.
So obviously it's painful. It takes a long time to come back from it. It's not like he was out jet skiing or downhill mogul skiing or something like that you shouldn't be doing if you're a professional athlete. Like, let's face it, you got to protect. I would have no problem if that's how he got injured. But by all accounts, he was at home or in his weight out, wherever the hell he works out, because they weren't allowed in the facility. Yep. I'm sure that was the case at the time. So if you're not allowed in the facility to work out and you want me to come back in a certain physical position, how am I supposed to do that if you're not going to protect my contracts? I actually think it's really gross. I actually do think they'll settle in the end.
He's also signed with the Baltimore Ravens.
I was about to say that as well. So he's got a new deal for this year. So he's going to be okay money-wise, although that contract's not really guaranteed.
Yeah, he can't play this year either. He's injured. Well, he may come back late in the season, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, look, hey, as someone who's currently doing it, coming back from an Achilles isn't a lot of fun. But if I was him, I'd sue. I'm sure you'll get a settlement offer.
I think you will.
As soon as it hits something you're comfortable with, take it. But I'm with him. I'd be suing for sure.
Everyone's kind of on his side at the moment as well. I haven't seen people come in and be like, no, screw the billion-dollar organization, the Denver Broncos. Like they should take all the money. Like, it's a bit unfair, but
yeah.
Anyway, that's
he wasn't skydiving. Like,
No, he wasn't playing
what are we
basketball,
doing here?
an extreme sport or anything like that. He was training. So let's move on to the big news, Richie. And we were thinking of maybe not having a podcast this week, but then this news hit and it was like, well, we've got to talk about this. Julio Jones, now a Titan. We discussed it last week with Lewis. I'll run through the deal. Obviously, the Falcons have given up Julio Jones to the Titans. In exchange for Jones, the Titans will send 2022, so not next year, the year after, second round pick, a 2020. Sorry, no, 2022 is next year, isn't it? I've stuffed that up. Yeah, sorry. Next year's second round pick. My mistake. I got confused in my years. And then 2023 fourth round selection. And along with Jones, the Falcons will receive a 6th round pick. So they're basically swapping a 4th and a 6th round pick for 2 years' time, which is whatever. And getting Julio Jones for a 2nd round pick. I personally think this is an absolute bargain for the Titans, and it instantly makes that offense a lot better. It improves so many things on that offense. It helps them in so many ways. I love the deal. Richie, to ask the question of you, do you like the deal too?
As a Titan, absolutely. And even as if I was a Falcon fan, you're not going to be happy about it, but you kind of have to do this. Like, you're reaping what you sowed in the previous years. They've done a really bad job of their cap, and they had to get under it. It's simple as that. And I know we make jokes that it's all made up, but this is how you get under it. These are the things that you've got to do. You've got to restructure. You've got to cut, whatever it takes. And this was the asset with the most value at the Falcons, and it was going to give them the most relief as well. Oh, sorry, I'm sure trading the quarterback would have probably given them the most relief, but this is the next best thing. So it's not like he was their only receiver. You know, I think
Calvin
the Falcons
Ridley's a really good player. I think
exactly.
He excelled last year without Julio Jones. He was exceptional.
Yeah.
He was one of the best receivers in the league last year.
Absolutely is, and I think his career will continue on that arc. So it's not like their cupboard is bare in this position, and it allows them to operate this year. Really, their contract was getting bigger over the next couple of years. So yeah, as a Falcon fan, you're going to be disappointed because he is a really good player and he still has years of production left. But this is the position that, in all honesty, I don't think it's the current regime put you in, but you're in it. So this gets you out.
They drafted Pitts as well, the tight end. They're going to rely on him to be more of a receiver now. I think they play a lot more because they've got Hayden Hurst, the tight end, who was a former first-round pick and a solid tight end. He's not a world beater, don't get me wrong, but he's solid. So you've got them Pitts on the outside. Calvin Ridley, just quietly, last year, in only his 2nd season in the NFL, which I did not realize. Sorry, 3rd season in the NFL. So his first 2 seasons, he had 800-odd yards both years, 10 touchdowns his rookie year, 7 his second year. 3rd year without Julio Jones, where people would think for half the season, people would think, oh, he's going to get number 1 coverage, all that sort of stuff. 90 receptions, 1,374 yards, 15.3 average, which is massive, and 9 touchdowns. That's as good as it gets for a number 1 receiver in terms of production. So
absolutely,
going into a contract year, I'm not worried about the receiving group. I don't think this is a huge dent. Would have you preferred to get more for Julio Jones? Yes, and Julio Jones being injured last year probably hurt you, and the situation that you're in with your cap, teams knowing that you basically had to trade him off. It was either him or Grady Jarrett, and I think they've just valued Grady Jarrett as a higher piece with what the players they've got. Mm-hmm. But I think you look at all considered a 2nd round pick for Julio Jones, it's not terrible. When you look at the value of receivers right now in the league, it's probably fair. A lot of receivers go in the 2nd round that become quite good receivers. So yeah, I think it's too bad.
Yeah, and they've got plenty of if you can't draft a starter in the 2nd round, there's something wrong with your organization. So 2nd round picks are valuable. They're very valuable because you get those players cheaper and everything that comes with it. So, I value 2nd round picks really highly. Like, this isn't the NBA, where 2nd round picks aren't even guaranteed. Like, this is the NFL. You got to be drafting starters in the 2nd and 3rd rounds if you want a good organization. And teams that don't are crappy organizations, and their results speak for it. If you want to flip it over for the Titans, this is awesome. If you're a Titans fan, oh my god, Like
So
I wish I had the odds on me and how much they changed to 1, win the division, 2, win the AFC, and then 3, win the Super Bowl, because I'm sure they came in on all of those. Probably not as much on the Super Bowl, but this is great for them. Having Jones now opposite Brown with
best receiver,
such a high quality back. Oh man,
by far.
They must be.
I don't think it's even close.
Yeah, but it was a pizza party in the offices after that deal was done in the Titans front office. Just also, great job by them.
What this opens up for the main weapon. So the Titans, their main weapon is Derrick Henry. They run the ball and they play action. And Tannehill has excelled in that play action game.
Yeah,
he's excelled in that run and gun movement. He's been terrific. He's been since he went to the Titans and started his first game of the Titans. It's been 26 games. He has been easily one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and it's been quite under the radar. He has been as good as Patrick Mahomes statistically. I'd still give me Mahomes any day of the week, but in terms of play and productivity, he's been just as good. So you then add Julio Jones to this. Reynolds now becomes your third receiver, which I think is quite a good fit. I think him as your second's a worry. As your third, yep, it's okay. You lose Jonnu Smith. Thurkska, they like what he can do, but the bottom line is you can now run the ball, because I don't know how teams are going to play both these guys. AJ Brown now can become that over the middle, underneath, big, strong breaks, tackles. Then you've got a guy like Julio Jones. And if you leave one-on-one, you run the risk that he will burn you every single play. He's going to have some games this year where he gets, 5 receptions for 220 yards and a couple of touchdowns, where he just gets 2 big touchdown passes, because you can't stack the box to stop Derrick Henry now, because you risk the play action and the big pass. You can't double cover Brown over the middle to stop him getting, easy release. You can't press him, play underneath him, and have a safety over the top, because you got Julio. Like, you can't double everyone and then stack the box and play on Henry, because then you're literally going to leave the other 2 guys uncovered. There's just not enough people to do it. It's a great move for them. If their defense can improve a little bit, which, I don't know if it can. I like some of their pieces. I like Simmons. I like Farley, who they got in the draft. I think he's going to be a real good pick, that late first round pick that kind of fell due to some injury concerns. But all in all, you can't walk away for a second round pick getting Julio Jones in your building. I think you can walk away feeling real good about this if you're the Titans. And if you're a Titans fan, I had you guys as on the cusp last week. I'd have to say defense is what worries me, but you're definitely in that playoff team category now, comfortably, and you're knocking on the door of a contender with this move. It changes everything.
Yeah, I saw it. I agree with most of that. An interesting thing I did see, I think ESPN Stats and Info put it out. But basically, 100-yard receiving games since 2011, when Julio Jones sort of came in. He has the most in the NFL with 58 games of 100 yards receiving or more. All Titans players combined in the same period have had 50, which I thought was just a fun stat to talk about his production. But as I said, the Titans, it's a real good move for them, because they already had the cap space, so that was no big deal. There's an out. Like, this doesn't work, including this year. They can get out of it.
Yeah. Well, the Titans. So the Titans have had, I can't remember who the receiver was. They've had one receiver get 1,300 yards in their career. They basically worked out if you put Julio Jones's season statistics, his receiving yardage statistics, into the Tennessee Titans, he would own the top 9 out of the top 10. The 10th would be a Titan who names. I read it yesterday, but he was quite a good receiver. Mason, I think it was Mason. Quite a good receiver.
Yeah, he probably had a good year like that. Yeah. Yeah,
so he had 1,300 odd yards, but Julio Jones has beaten that 9 times in his career, and he's only been playing for 10 years. So, and last year, you'd argue we did the numbers last week. He would have got it if he played all 16 games. So, I think it's a great move by them. I'm happy for the Titans and the Titans fans to give that jolt of energy and kind of puts them right in the box seat to go and contend and compete with a team like Kansas City. I do, and the Bucks, that sort of thing. So,
even if they only get, say, 10 regular season games out of him in playoffs, it'll be enough.
He's happy.
It'll be enough.
If he's there for the playoffs and he plays, 10 games, I think they'll be quite happy with that. And he's under contract too. So he's under contract for 2 years. Now, he'll probably want more.
I think it's technically for 3, but you can get out after 2022 if it if it doesn't work out for you, or if you need to get out from under it.
So it's not like he's on a 1-year deal and you've got to sign him to a long-term deal. They might,
not at
they
all.
might extend him, but I wouldn't until the end of this season.
I wouldn't.
I'd see if he goes first. And then
I personally, if I was the Titans, I'd probably never extend him. So you're going to have him, 2021, 2022. And if it's all going well, pay him for 2023. And if it's not, take the out. And it costs nothing against the cap. So, and at that point, if you can get 2 more really good years out of him, I don't think there'll be a lot of tread left after that.
No, probably not. Well, certainly you could probably get him at a cheaper amount. Speaking of money and not speaking of cheaper amounts, I'm just going to try and stop this video from making noise. Let's talk about Michael Dickson, the Australian punter from the Seattle Seahawks. Been one of the best punters in the league from the second he entered. He has signed a 4-year, $14.5 million extension. He's now one of the NFL's highest paid punters, which he deserves. And I guess for an Australian guy who, made his way through Pro Kick Australia, which has been well talked about on this podcast and how good a job they do sending guys over to college and then, in the pros. What a terrific story and what a terrific kind of final tick, get that big contract. That's the sort of money that now he probably doesn't have too many concerns for the rest of his life financially. If he can play that contract out, and we know what punters are like. Not many punters don't play out contracts because you don't get hurt, and their production doesn't tend to drop off until they get a lot older. We see punters play till their 40s. So I'm really excited for Michael Dickson. I think it's awesome. I think it's great to see another Australian not only playing in the NFL but doing really well, and then now getting paid to do really well. The next guy will be the big fella in San Francisco. I'm sure he'll get paid soon as well. I can't remember his what.
Wisnowski.
Yeah, Wisnowski. He'll get his he'll get a deal soon as well. But it's just great to see it, and something to really celebrate as an Australian. The success we're having. Adam Gott's got a new deal in the off season to stay at the Jaguars. It's Australians in the NFL is a good place to be at the moment, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think Michael's earned every bit of it. He's been an outstanding punter since coming in. Obviously, coming off his great career at Texas, he was drafted, which is obviously rare for the punters. They usually have to do it the hard way, usually a couple of years out of the game after college, and then they sort of get a chance. The NFL's very reluctant to take shots on rookies.
Well, we've heard from Chris Bryan, who used to be on our show with us, when he used to say basically the Jets coordinator would be like, I'll send you back. Like, I hate Australians. You're taking guys' jobs in America. That was their attitude. I think it is probably starting to turn a bit, but that's been the attitude for a long time. Yeah.
So look, I'm stoked for him. $40 million, that's nothing to sneeze at. And that's a lot of money. It's probably, I'd have to look back to see what guys like Matt McBride and past guys who were in the league for a long time, what their earnings were. But if he plays through this career, he's got to be one of the highest earning Australians in the NFL, probably ever.
Yeah. Just looking at Matt McBride career earnings, he earned, this is awful. He earned $6.9 million over 11 seasons.
Yeah, well, there you go. So
that shows how the market. He's been retired for 10 years now. So
absolutely, and I'm sure he still leads. Has he most games played for an Australian, or would Darren Bennett be most games played? I'm not sure. It's got to be close between the two of them.
And Ben Graham was up there as well, actually, for games played.
Yeah, I think he would be third, but behind the other two. Just guessing off the top of my head. But yeah, it's amazing that I think he must have had a decent earn too. He was in the league a long time. But
about 6 million, I think, or 5 million according to
Pro. Well, there you go. See, and in that time, it's a big jump. So it's obviously the richest deal that an Australian signed. So that's awesome and great for the game here and more exposure, and hopefully we can get more people playing in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, that's it for the show today, Rich. So there wasn't a lot of news. We still managed to stretch it to 25 minutes, which is pretty good for us with only 3 topics. We're good. We're pretty good that way. But the big one was obviously the Titans news, which is awesome for the Titans. And if you're a Titans fan, you must be loving it. So let's see how that plays out. But Richie, appreciate you as always, mate. the things will start to ramp up in the next couple of weeks. Guys are back training in the facilities and whatnot. Something's probably going to happen with Aaron Rodgers because he's holding out of camp now. They're saying they're going to deduct money off him like he fucking gives a shit. Like $90,000. If he cared, it's literally he could probably drop $90,000 out of his wallet on the street and not care. Like he could buy a cake for $90,000 and not even blink at it. So I don't think that's going to be a big deal, but it's going to come to a head soon. So we'll keep an eye on that, and then in the next few weeks we'll start our team previews. So guys, this off season is long, but it will start to go quickly. So enjoy a bit of quiet now because it's going to be wild. But Richie, thank you for coming on as always, mate, and talk to you next week.
My pleasure, mate.